All right, hello and welcome, folks. It is season 3, episode 3. Of course, we are Radio Reflex. Here we are. My name's Ian. As always, my co-host, Alan. Welcome
Yep.
along, Alan. How are you?
Good morning. I am exhausted. It's been a it was a rough 3 days off. I mean, a long holiday weekend. It takes a lot out of you to really try and relax that hard. I think I actually, in
You
fact,
need a
did
holiday.
relax too
You
hard. I
need a
strained
holiday
myself.
after it.
I do.
You need a holiday from your holiday.
I don't know about everybody, but like this year's been pretty strange. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of how strange this year is. So I think the highlight of the 3 day weekend was reminding me what a holiday is all about. I know. When was the last time you took a real holiday in?
A real one. I don't know. The last time I took a real one, I did take Monday off though, and when I say take Monday off, I did my accounts and didn't take the van out and watched Hell in a Cell. So that was kind of a holiday.
So it's about as close as we get to a holiday
Yeah,
these days. So I mean, I don't know about you, but looking forward to Christmas because the studio does break up for the Christmas break. So that's and basically like the last proper holiday was Christmas last year when the studio broke up. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But I mean, yeah, enough of our trials and tribulations. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Episode 3, and Ian, we've been great. We have been roughly on time, and
Roughly.
yeah, roughly. Well, I mean, a few minutes, but I
Yeah,
think just one of the big goals for this season is to keep super regular and to be
yeah.
up. You might have noticed last week we actually cast to Facebook. We're back on YouTube this week. That was just a little accident. But yeah, now we're going to be regular Wednesday 6:30s with as much content as we can shake a stick at. But good housekeeping. We don't have a lot this week, but we do have something important that we need to remind everybody of.
You threw me for a loop there. I mean, are we talking about our event that is coming up on Saturday?
Are we talking about that secret thing that we shouldn't talk about? No, we're not talking about that.
I was about to say, I'm like, we had a conversation this morning, and I'm like, we talked about some things, and there's some things that we can talk about, and there's some things we definitely can't talk about. So
yeah, that's
how about
true.
instead of throwing me the hospital ball like that, how about you share it with our listeners?
Okay, geez, Ian. All right, all right. No, the real simple thing and the real key thing I think me and Ian have been looking forward to for weeks is,
Yeah.
of course, Halloween Havoc this weekend. Actually, let me just bring up my. I'll get the thing up in a second for Ian. But Halloween Havoc, of course, is this weekend. This is the event that me and Ian have organised for at Hobbymaster Penrose. I'll just bring this up and do that. Ian, if you want to bring up that that graphic.
There we
yes,
are.
Halloween Havoc. So me and Ian did we ran like Pauper last year, and a big plan was always for Radio Reflex to run some events where we're not really in the TO business, but when we get when the gears grind and we get going, we're really keen. And thanks to Hobbymaster for hosting this as well. So of course, Saturday, 31st of October. It's a 12 p.m. start because we wanted a nice lazy start for everybody. It's Blitz format. So the big deal is we have a judge, this year's judge playmat, the Demonastery playmat up for first place. We
Very cool playmat.
Yeah, very cool. And there are just very few in the country. I mean, there's basically one for each Road to Nationals that happened. Actually, I think this is the third one to pass through my hands. So I have a terrible. I'm unable to keep a hold of a judge playmat at the moment. I think I gave one to you, Ian.
luckily you've got a chance to win one this Saturday.
To be fair, Ian, if somehow, well, it's a good point. Let's bring that up. So the judge playmat is for first place. Now with the
Yep.
event, if we have 16 or less players, what we'll do is we'll do normal Swiss rounds and a cut to top 4. If we have over 16 players, we'll do normal Swiss rounds and a cut to top 8. If for any reason I somehow go 4 or 5-0 and then monster my way up the top 8 and some I mean every dog has his day.
Right.
I will not take the demonstratory playmat. I will not to be honest, I don't think anybody watching this believes that such a thing will happen, but yeah, I will not take the demonstratory playmat, nor will I also take the other attractive prize we're putting up is the Find Center playmat from Crucible.
Yes,
I have one of these.
That is another very cool prize, and what we're doing with that is going to be a spot prize, isn't it? So
yeah, and it's also going to be for somebody outside of the top placing.
The top cut. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what we like to do. I mean, a lot of the hobby, you see that a lot in the hobby leagues around New Zealand, and it's a really nice way to keep the players that may not be having the best success on the night still a reason to hang around and keep playing. Is that when you do your top cut and then you do your spot prize, you just make sure that it's someone in the sort of bottom half of the results, because it's a nice way to everyone's still got something to play for, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, we like to see the competition. Like, I like to see the best players get to the top and win big prizes. But we want to, because often enough we've got these kind of prizes when we've done terrible. It's like when you get the pity booster when you're like zero, you're 0-6 at an event, and then this happened many a time, and probably with James as TO. But you get that pity pack, and then you open that pity pack, and it's got that rare you needed. It's got that foil card. It's got something like that. So, Find Center is very cool. Also, I'm
just gonna put it out there. We have a way of naming things after prominent members of the community. Like for instance, Kurt's Corner, because of Kurt's love of professional wrestling. I was just wondering, perhaps instead of saying spot prize, maybe we call this the Gary Lynch prize of opportunity. Anyone who's played in Auckland and been around knows that Gary has an unfathomable luck at spot random prizes. So
that's true. Well, let's be fair to Gary. We're not calling Gary a scrub here. I mean, he does certainly scrub out in his fair share of tournaments, but Gary is he is a calling top eighter as well.
Yeah, but he is one lucky son of a gun when it comes to those random draws.
He does. So yeah, we should definitely put up the Lynch prize, the GL prize. We'll come up with a proper name for it, but
maybe we need to rename Gary, give him a nickname like, how about Gary the Algorithm, because he just seems to keep getting picked out.
Yeah. Well, there's actually something else in Good Housekeeping once we get out of this, which somebody I've decided to give a new nickname for. I'm not sure if it'll stick. But yeah, anyway, Halloween Havoc this weekend. We're going to bring candy. Me and Ian will be there from like about 11 or so to hang out.
I'll probably be. I think Hobby Master opens at 10. I think I might bring bring the coffee van down at 10. If anyone wants to grab a coffee before the event. That'd be cool. One of the other things that we hadn't mentioned, because I really only came up with the idea last night. Anyone who's saw me play any of the Blitz events down at Nationals or recently back has seen my KO. That is my alternate Kevin Owens KO card. And I was just thinking, since it is Halloween that we're celebrating, and of course Halloween is a time of the year where people dress up, we do a random spot prize for best alt art character. So if you're planning to come along and you want jump out and you get onto your Photoshop or something and alt up your young hero to come dressed in a costume or do something alt art with your character, because of course you can do that with characters, not so much with the cards that go into the deck. But since the character doesn't go into the deck, feel free. I do know the Wellington crew. There is a nice history of old arts down there. So, and it's something that I kind of like. I mean, I love the art in Flesh and Blood anyway, but I also love. I love bringing other fandoms to this game as well. So if you get your thinking caps on, and we might do a spot prize for best alt art competitor card at the event.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did see quite a few from the Wellington guys down at Nationals. I think my favorite one, and I'm not sure if Tamisi from Wellington used it at Nationals. I can't remember, but he has a brilliant Guns Akimbo alter. Now, Guns Akimbo, if you haven't seen it, is a New Zealand action film directed by the guy that did Deathgasm. If you've seen that, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Guns Akimbo stars Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe. And basically somebody decides to nail guns to his hands and puts him in a reality murder show, basically. So yeah, it was Tamisi did it. It was super cool. But yeah, we'd love to see more of those, because the one thing is when you as Ian said, we love the art, but when you get something attached to something, you kind of want to personalize it a bit more for yourself. So and yeah, as Ian said, these things, your heroes don't get shuffled into your deck. So I mean, for an event like this, it's definitely fair game. All right. So yeah, I have something else let's commemorate it right now. Big shout out to Cale McCreath. Cale made a significant milestone this week, and so we just want to. And Cale's often a viewer. Well, I think he's certainly one of our most committed viewers, Cale, and he's a good friend of both me and Ian now. And I think, a big aspect is Cale's probably become like a good friend of ours over the course of Flesh and Blood as well. So yeah, just really fitting. Cale hit the 1,000 experience points.
Yeah, very, very impressive. First player to hit 1,000 XP. Really showing his commitment to getting out there and getting to hobby leagues and doing well in events. Like I believe he hit all the roads to 10K. I think he got to most of the roads to nationals, bar maybe Nelson. And just been a great builder of the community. He's brought people in and stuff like that. So yeah, well done to him to be the first player to get to 1,000 XP. I believe I'm currently somewhere about 12th overall, and I'm at just shy of 500. So that shows you the sort of difference between Cale's commitment, and I think the next closest person is Jacob Pearson, but he's on like 600. 600. Yeah. So
I think he's almost just shows, 700.
Yeah, so it shows just how much time and effort Cale's put in, and I'm pretty sure 98% of that has been with Guardian as well. Well.
True, he has picked up a few points with Wizards recently, but I mean the thing is, if you're not aware out there, XP is gained by actually winning matches. So if you go to a hobby league and you go zero, if you go 0 wins, you don't gain any XP. So if you think about that 1,000 XP, each one of those, each XP represents a win basically. I mean, hobby league, armory kits, it's 3 points, non just on demand events. It's 1 point a win, but Cale's done it, and that's the nickname I want to come up. Experienced. Are you experienced? Jimi Hendrix. So I feel like he's the Hendrix of Fab now. That's my new nickname for Cale. I'm not sure it'll stick. It's maybe a little complicated, but yeah, he's definitely my Hendrix.
Explain it every time.
Oh, joyfully so. But yeah, just like shout out to Cale, because I think Cale's because I did know Cale before Fab, but I didn't really consider Cale a friend. But yeah, now I do. So yeah, Cale congrats to you. To our Radio Reflex brother, Cal McCreef. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
All right.
So this week, scoreboard.
Yeah.
So we made it along to Hobby Master last night. I decided with Halloween coming up that I might run my KO deck just to see if I wanted to run it on the weekend, and pretty much decided I didn't.
Yeah, well, you did have some interesting choices there.
It's definitely it's a different strategy. Basically, it's a go wide strategy with a lot of generic go again cards, and then trying to end with a 6 cost to then hopefully turn into a 12 cost, and also running like Talishard instead of the weapons, and a lot of that. A lot of the reason behind that is just because you're running so much of the small stuff in it. I'm running 4 Razor Reflexes in it, so it's about catching people off with Talishard, because people forget that Talishard, like especially when you're playing Brute, if you have Talishard and you only swing with it maybe twice or 3 times in the game, a lot of the times they forget it's a sword and miscalculate when they're blocking, and you can sneak in a cheeky Razor Reflex to get lethal. So that was
much easier. Much easier to razor than pummel, because I mean, if you just think about
only costs
the cost, just like it's 3 total: swing of Talishard, 2 razor. So I mean, people might dismiss you a bit when you pull out the Talishard as well, Ian.
Well, I mean, often do. Often has, and it has won me a few games. So it still needs a bit of tweaking. The other reason I wanted to play it, because it's a very similar build to something else that I've got in the pipelines that I'm not sure when I'll break it out, but I don't think I'm going to have it ready for the weekend, but maybe something that comes out down the line. So yes, but with that being said, it did not fare particularly well. I went 1-3, and in fact, although to be fair, all the games were fairly close. I got Ash down to 1. I actually got into a position where I had 2 cards in hand. He was on 1. One of the cards was Reckless Swing. Unfortunately, the other card was not a 6 tack, so I couldn't kill him with the Reckless Swing. My match against Jacob Pearson, he really took a beating to me to get some revenge for the last 2 weeks of me beating him in Hobby League. So fair enough.
Yeah, well, interesting. Jacob was on Ira rather than Kano this week, if I remember.
Yes. And I think a lot of it's got to do with, and Matt also was running Reinhardt this week, and I think it's got a lot to do with just they do tend to live in the same place, and I think they should have this sort of a bit of a deck library, so they were sort of sharing decks that night. So so it was interesting to see.
Yeah, Matt did say he did want to have a bit of fun, but I mean, that was crazy.
I also think Matt was possibly making up for the fact that I pointed out that he came 4th last week to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, it's very when that happens, we need to speak up, because nobody cares. Nobody cares when we come dead last. So you got to speak up those things. But yeah, Matt was giving a go of Reiner, but I saw some insane. He had an insane basically OTK turn against. I'm pretty sure it was against Jacob, where he was able to like sand sketch plans twice in a turn, and Art of War in a turn, and basically was able to intimidate the whole hand. I'm not sure what else was in there. There was I'm just trying to remember the Barkskin, the
Barkbone strapping.
Barkbone strapping was used. And it was just crazy because the start of a turn, I didn't think it was, just because I had to buy that round, so I got to watch. And Jacob was not impressed. Jacob, I have found Jacob's fatal flaw. Jacob does not enjoy the matchup against Brute. I can tell you.
It's a tough matchup. I mean, Reiner definitely is doing big work in the Blitz format. Just because, if you can intimidate 3 to 4 cards out of their hand, you'll often be killing them. Like that's often enough to do because unlike in Classic Constructed where you can take one big turn, you might take a lot of damage, but it doesn't kill you. Whereas these brute turns can really actually finish you off nowadays. So
true. Yeah. And it is kind of depressing when you're hoping, they'll discard the wrong thing, or they'll run out of gas, and then just the amount of action points that Matt had on that turn was crazy. But it was good because Ira's been giving me a tough time, so it's good to see that Ira is
Ira is a tough matchup, but Brute has, I wouldn't say a favorable matchup because it still comes down to card draw and stuff like that. But it does have the ability to beat Ira, which a lot of other decks are finding a bit harder in this format as well. So so that's good to see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the last round came down to our match for the week. Yeah. And talking of big turns, my first turn I swung for, I believe I hit you for 11 on like turn 1 of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the actual amount of damage you were trying to do was obviously much more. What was the actual? Because I did block with. Yeah. So you were actually attacking for 14, I think.
Yeah.
I blocked with 1 card.
Yeah.
Because if I remember, you dominated it somehow. So I'm not sure. It was a brute attack that became dominated. I'm pretty sure. So I threw it. Well, I made a mistake. I didn't. I just completely. I mean, to be honest, Ian got the tilt on me. I was totally tilted. But in a weird way.
It also it helps. It helps because obviously I rolled the 6. I rolled the 6 on Kaz's ability, and you weren't playing with gambler's gloves, so you had no way of making me re-roll it. So. But it was close, and then late in the game, I got another sort of 12 attack coming at you, which got you down to 1. But yeah, you managed to hold on and just scratch me to death with those sabers.
Yeah, well, basically, because one of the things I did is on one turn I ended up. I think I defended heavily against you, and I ended up with a blue Iron Song response as the only card in my hand. And I looked at it and I thought, I really want to draw 4 fresh cards, And I was thinking, it's a rookie mistake to put a blue Iron Song response in my arsenal, but I did. And basically, the way the game turned out is I was able to. I mean, obviously, you defended my first saber attack, but I was able to get the second saber attack through.
Yeah.
And had a red Iron Song response, which would have left you on 1, and then you're like, I'm on 1, and then I flip up the blue Iron Song response just for Xaxes, which is I feel like I got away with that game despite some terrible plays. I just ran really good, and it was just at exactly 1 point to get over you. So. So with a bye and a win for 4 rounds, because I had a loss, my first round was against Regan, and Regan was playing KO, and I basically threw away the win because I just didn't. I had 2 reprise cards in hand. I should have played them on the first attack, but I'm just not very. I don't know if I'm very good at reprise at the moment. I keep on kind of forgetting and always thinking they're just a straight pump. So basically on my second attack, he was like, he didn't defend, and I was like, reprise, I was like, Iron Song response. He's like, sorry, dude, can't do that. And I was like, and if I had done it in the correct order, I would have won the game. So it was very, very disappointing to throw a game away just through the improper sequencing. Had the bye. Then I played Jacob, and Jacob wore me out with Ira. And and then our
And
match.
that came close. There was a point in that game where you had Jacob on one, and you were about 2/3 of the way through your deck, and all you needed was an Iron Song response because he was still leading out with sabers. Little did we know that he had the sneaky sigil in his arsenal. So had you Iron Song response, he wouldn't have died. But
Steelblade Shunt. Steelblade Shunt.
Sorry, Steelblade Shunt. But I was like, oh man, it was close.
Yeah, well, it wasn't bad. I mean, but Jacob is so good, and like it always seems like he defends. He was defending very well, and sometimes the sabers can't push. Yeah,
and that's what that Ira deck does. It actually plays very similar to the defensive control dash that Jacob won his road to nationals with. So it's very fitting that he's that sort of he very, very much has a liking for that style of play.
I feel like Jacob's number one. If Jacob ever has to sit on a Santa Claus, a Maul Santa's knee, Jacob's request would be like, induction chamber for Ninja. Please, Santa, give me an induction chamber for Ninja. But yeah, I mean, Jacob just plays so well, and like I think he had it. Like like I did have that glimmer that maybe I could get drawn to the Steelblade Shunt and get that one. I mean, he had the sigil, but like it was a dream. It was a beautiful dream. But like always good to play, and I much prefer playing the Ira matchup and playing against him with dash control. And classic constructor, because I did that once, and it was
not fun.
It was not fun.
Yeah.
So
you quickly get over pew pew go again.
yeah, exactly. But that put us that put us
closing the gap there, Alan. This is probably the closest we've been other than a week one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how. Halloween Havoc. Halloween Havoc is a lot of rounds, Ian. Halloween Havoc might be 4 to 5 rounds, and one of us just has to make top 8 to help blow the other one out of order. So we'll see. So come and play Halloween Havoc this weekend.
That's all right. So either help me or Alan get some wins.
Yeah, and I don't mean by conceding, by playing and stretching our abilities. No concessions, please. If you beat us, fair game. I always like to tell people. I mean, this is a thing that I've always said through gaming is that very simply you learn a lot more through your losses and your wins. And considering how many losses I've taken over years, it should mean that I'm like a Stephen Hawking genius at this point. But yeah. But all right, let's hopefully Brett Rogers is on the line because let's do a little bit of a dive. Last week we went into Ian's deck, and hopefully what I'll do is next week I'll have we'll put up I'll have some more time because my little graphics at the moment are taking me a bit of time to do. But we'll bring up my Kasai deck, and first of all, Ian, because I'm not sure if anyone actually remembers that Ian was actually a warrior player to start off with before Brute. In fact, I sold my extra Brave Forge braces to complete your Dorinthea deck. So
that's right. Yeah. And I in fact we were talking about Cal McCreath and his number of wins through hobby leagues and stuff. I back in the day, I actually I think our first Armory event I bet him I know I have played a bit of Warrior. It's been a while, but Warrior has definitely was definitely, and when I started the game, obviously I wasn't actually playing. Sorry, I wasn't working for the company, is what I should say. And so really, the reason I actually started with Warrior was what my boxes had led me to. I believe I got Steel Braid Supremacy. I got obviously everyone knows my love of Dom Brinthia and off that, and but yeah, no, it's good fun, and Yeah, this is an interesting deck. I haven't actually played with Kasai before, but I do see what you've got going here. Um, Obviously, you've got some of the new stuff. There are a couple of cards in here which I think we've already discussed about you changing what they are. I think probably the
Yeah.
one that jumps out to me is that coax the commotion. I just don't think that it probably doesn't do enough in your deck at the
Yeah.
moment.
So as a little bit of forward here is of course the last season, season 2, Ian won the championship, and part of the punishment was that I had to play with basically Crucible characters because
Yeah.
we'd agreed that this season was about Blitz. So one of the things, obviously, you would have expected me maybe to try KO. But the thing is, I've never really liked Warrior, and I thought, why not? Yeah, like actually try and break that, and like try something different. Like it just goes back. I played a Road to 10K, and I built up a warrior deck, and I just fluffed it constantly, and kind of like I got this. I wasn't comfortable in the skin, so like I thought, all right, no, that's enough for warrior. That's a class that I don't care for. But like Kasai, she's pretty badass, and the double sabers. All right, so first of all, Kasai's got one great ability is that her second weapon attack each turn costs one less. And the sabers, of course, only cost one resource to attack. So you have to pay for your first saber, but as long as you're able to get go again, the second saber is free. The other ability, which is more interesting, is of course is every time if she attacks with 2 weapons in a turn, for each weapon that hits, you get a copper. Now, coppers don't mean a lot of themselves. They actually cost 4 resources to basically you crack them and you can draw a card. But thanks to cash in this format, you can make use of those. So this is my first attempt. Now, I think Chris Gearing described this pretty much as like the Kasai precon. When we were actually testing for Blitzathon, we were testing for Blitzathon, he grabbed this deck and played Jason and actually won, and I was pretty happy. But it's at the moment I've got mixed feelings about it. Because it's currently done what results have I got? I've had a 2-2, a 2-2, and what was the week before? I think did I go
1-3.
1-3? So it hasn't been split, but I've had a few people saying that there's something to it. So first of all, Kasai and her 2 sabers. Now, I don't think there's anything amazing about my equipment kit out. Tunic, Gambler's Gloves.
I mean, I do like that you're playing Gambler's Gloves. I think people have to. I think honestly, it is a card you have to play with Reiner and KO in the format. It really is important in those brute turns.
Yeah, you have to respect KO. You have to respect KO because
you have to respect and Reiner. The difference between changing a 6 to a 3 on their bonehead barrier, or changing a 6 to a 1 on their scab skin rolls. It can be brutally important.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's missing is I didn't put in Snapdragon Scalers. As we get to it, you'll see that this is not a deck about attack actions. The other cards is we've got 3 pieces of Nullrune armor. I mean, I'm not even sure sometimes I count Skullcap as a Nullrune armor because
I wouldn't, because A, it has to be turned on, and B, it just costs so much. It really does.
So I've got Robe and Boots because I feel obviously like Refraction Bolters and Tunic can the easiest to go. But the other card that I'm really high on at the moment, I really like, is Hope Merchant's Hood. I just think I just like it. I just began to shuffle away your whole hand. I mean, I don't know. I just think very simply, I like Hope Merchant's Hood, and I know Skullcap. I don't know. Yeah, it's like I feel like Skullcap is a card that you have. Everyone has mixed feelings about. Like it's almost like a necessary evil to have it in your kit out, and sometimes just having two battle worn is good enough.
Yeah, and I noticed you don't have the courage chest piece in there either.
Yeah, that could be a mistake, but I haven't. No, I haven't put it in. I haven't put it in here because I feel like because Kasai's ability to give her the second weapon attack, it's something I've been thinking about. It probably should be in there. I'm not sure what I'd take out because I don't think this deck has any chance against Wizard, to be honest. And maybe it's just best to forget about Wizard. Just improve your matchups against other decks. I don't know. I need to play more. As I said, I've had a 2-2, a 2-2, and a 1-3. We need to get some more testing in. So anyway, let's go to the breakdown. So the Reds, you've basically just got things mainly to give go again. So you've got the Warrior's Valor, you've got the Spoils of War, you've got Driving Blade, you've got Hit and Run. All those cards can give your Saber go again. Hit and Run is good because if you sequence it right, of course, you can give a weapon +3 on the red. So you've got to remember, if you are playing it out before your first Saber attack, it only gives that Saber attack go again. If you're playing it after, if you can play it after your second Saber attack, it's a 0 cost +3 pump. Iron Song Response, Driving Blade, Out for Blood. I don't run any Razor Reflexes in here, which might be a mistake, but Alpha Blood is good because if you set it up on your first Saber attack, of course it's a +3. Reprise is active, it will give your next weapon attack, the Saber, a +1, and just being able to get any more damage out of your Sabers is so valuable. Sigils, because it's just, sigils are obviously a keystone. Now, this is, that Ian mentioned before. I feel like this is a mistake. I wanted to try it out because it's a new card, and one of the things internally with building decks for Blitzer season is I wanted to try and lean on Crucible cards as much as I could. Just to try out new cards. Simply so, Coax, because again, it's a 4 attack, 0 cost attack.
I think this is also where this card would be better if you were running razors as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, your pumps only work on your weapons at the moment, so it really is just a flat vanilla card here. So.
Yeah, essentially, so far, basically, one of the things obviously is there's a skill portion to this card. You have to decide if it hits, because generally everyone lets us hit, and then you've got to decide if you want to give one of those, because you can choose any number. So obviously 0 is a number, and it's very hard to decide. I feel like maybe when I know matchups better, but at the moment it's just been 4, and sometimes it's been stuck in my hand because I haven't been able to give my second Saber attack go again. So this card will come out next week for 2 snatches, because snatch just puts infinitely more pressure on your opponent. If it's the last in the chain and you're empty-handed, if it hits, you get to draw a card and automatically arsenal it. So that's very valuable.
I think that the other cards that sort of jump out at me as things that could be something else is I just don't think you're getting enough value, or I'm not sure what value you're trying to get out of Nature's Path Pilgrimage in this deck.
Nature's Path Pilgrimage, I agree with you, and I haven't really. I mean, Nature's Path Pilgrimage, for most of it, is very simply just a the red one is a +3. So I definitely probably maybe be thinking about pulling that out for, maybe that's where the Razor Reflex is going.
I think even maybe a Razor and maybe a Route, even like I wouldn't be unhappy playing one Route in this deck just because of Kasai's ability to make copper if your blades hit. So being able to route something to get blades to then help get you to that cash in turn a bit quicker.
Yeah,
and also route can be absolutely killer. To end the game with as well. I don't think it's something that you need 2 of in this deck because obviously it does cost 2 to play. But I think I think both Razor and Route are probably solid cards to look at.
And as we've discussed, my ability to get reprise correct is a bit limited this time.
And here's Brett jumping in. It's like Coax is okay, Snatch is better. You have to be okay at choosing nothing with it a lot of the time, and that is very true. A lot of the time, Coax will do nothing. Although I must say, I was running it in my KO deck, and I love making quicken tokens, especially against decks that you then swing for another 2 or 3 attacks. So they have a lack of cards to really take advantage of the quicken tokens.
Definitely fair. Now, when we go into our yellows are pretty much. I mean, there's not a huge difference here. So, you've got Driving Blades, Hit and Run, Pilgrimage, and Warrior's Valor that all have red versions.
Yeah. Again, I think Pilgrimage is. I just don't like Pilgrimage in this deck. I mean, I don't mind it as a card. I just don't think it's right for this deck. So I think that is definitely where there is a possibility of some utility changing up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the main card in the yellow slot that's of interest is Cash In, and Cash In is your way just obviously to make use of Kasai's innate ability, and of course, Spoils of War, which I love. Spoils of War. Spoils of War is fantastic. It's another way you can get copper tokens, but Cash In is a way. And Cash In's a bit of a difficult card because I feel quite attached to it. Like, I don't know if a lot of players, I get tunnel vision sometimes, and my tunnel vision is all about getting Cash In resolved, where, I should be thinking about other plays. I mean, it's something that happens, and I do it all the time. But when you get Cash In at that right moment, and like you can start your turn with playing it for, throwing away those 4 coppers. I mean, because it's got Go Again, draw 2 cards. Like, those are the turns that you hopefully finish. Unless you draw too much blue, that's the turns you finish your opponent.
And that's where I think having cards changing out that Pilgrimage for, as we said, some razors or some routes, or because it's about having, when you do Cash In, about actually making it a worthwhile turn. Because the problem about the Sabers over Dawnblade in, say, a Dorinthia deck is that you can build Dawnblade up to be bigger and stuff like that, whereas innately you're starting at less attack with the Sabers. So you actually and considering that you've only got 1 attack action in there, you have to do a bit more work for your kill turn.
Yeah, pretty much you've hit the nail on the head with that analysis. It's just like, Dawnblade can get out of hand. Your opponent always has to be worrying. I feel like, things like Dawnblade, Mask of Momentum, these are cards like, like if I'm playing against them, you're real nervous. You're real concerned about them getting out of hand, and they can do. Whereas the Sabers, and also like the Sabers are cheap and it's not too hard. But the thing is, like, it's almost like there's no incentive for your opponent to block them.
Because the thing is, they're not like the Kodachis in Ninja, where you're leading up to making them have to block that 3rd attack because of Mask of Momentum. You don't have that threat in the Kasai deck, and also, I mean, this is where possible. I mean, I haven't played Kasai myself, but this is where possibly you do need to maybe look at putting a few more, like maybe instead of attack reactions, maybe you need to look at putting a few more actual attacks in the deck, so you can go Saber E-Strike or Saber Snatch or because the problem with your deck at the moment, I see, is that after the 2nd Saber attack, there's not a lot of threat. You're not. It's fairly obvious that you're not running a lot of attack cards in this. So so it makes the threat level of those Sabers a little less.
Yeah, that's why part of it is why the description of this being a precon.
Yes,
and I still think a precon is accurate because you've got a strategy, and I wanted to build it this way. I wanted to build it round the Sabers, and that's the way I think you would build like a precon deck. You'd say, what is Kasai about? And obviously part of her is about the coppers, and unfortunately, at the moment there's only 1 card that really plays to those coppers, and the other thing is being able to get along with the Saber attack. So most of the cards in the deck is all about giving that first Saber Go Again and some kind of pump. So Yeah, so that's definitely where it falls down. Is just the sabers are no, they're no Kadachis, is the problem, and they're no Dawnblade. I still think there's merit in this deck because I mean this deck. I mean Kasai has done well. I mean Kasai put multiple people
Yeah,
into the
totally.
first PTI qualifier. We'll get to my blues and then we'll talk about changes. Again, my blues are pretty similar. So the differences here is the Steelblade shunts, which are mainly just in there for extra blue. And obviously, as we mentioned, there was a chance if if Jacob hadn't had the sigil in his arsenal that the Steelblade could have sealed that game for me. The other one is Glint because Glint is a great resource, and obviously,
Oh yes,
it's
absolutely. Yeah.
amazing if the reprise is turned on.
Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, even without the reprise, but just giving your stuff go again is a solid option in warrior.
Yeah. So, but the other thing about this deck is that it tends to do everything up front. So
yes,
I mean, in general, I mean, obviously I got Ian with a lucky hand of a red Iron Song and a blue Iron Song in the arsenal, but generally you're doing a lot of it because if you're driving Blade, obviously it costs 2, which is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So if you've got like Warrior's Valor, Spoils of War, and Saber, that's 3 resources to use up front. So you are doing everything. You are doing it. I mean, there's still opportunities, but you're doing a lot of the things up front, and it needs a little bit more spice. And probably where I'm going to take this is
possibly maybe looking at something like taking out the red driving blades for possibly like red Flock of the Feather Walkers.
Well, what I've been looking at is obviously I know the coaxes are coming out for snatches, but Brett, thanks to Brett actually gave me his. I'm not sure if it's the one he played at the qualifier or it might be like a more recent one, but I'm going to start moving this deck slowly, and I think slowly because I still want to see how the shell works. As move it to I'll call it the Brett version. So as you're suggesting, it's more like the sabers pick away, and then you can still hit with some decent ones. So things like red Flock of the Feather Walkers, Enlightened Strike, Snatches, those kind of things. But the other thing is this deck misses is because I'm playing with Kasai is you miss the card advantage that Dorinthia has. All right, sweet. Yeah, I'll probably play it this weekend, Brett. I'll probably play your version this weekend with any luck. But yeah, the thing that you do miss out not playing Dorinthia is you miss out on the card advantage that cards like Steelblade Supremacy and Singing Steelblade, because Singing Steelblade is so
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and especially in Blitz, like in the classic constructed, it's obviously harder to put that damage through, but 20 life. Singing Steelblade is much more important. And yeah, if you're playing Dorinthia, congratulations, Supremacy and Spell.
I was going to say you can still play Iron Song Determination though in this deck as well. Which is 2 turns of 2 attacks with Dominate. So if you lead in with, since you're leading in with like a Warrior's Valor or a Hidden Run. And getting Dominate off them as off both attacks is a solid plan as well. So I mean, possibly that maybe what you change even again, and maybe not a 2 of in your deck. Maybe it's just a 1 of. Maybe for one of the yellow matches, Path Pilgrimage or something like that as an option.
Yeah. I suppose the other comment about the deck is that the Ira matchup is really tough. Just because the Sabres do not match up very well to all the defense reactions they have, because it's very easy for Ira to be able to, because a lot, if you're looking at so the pumps obviously go between 1 to 3. So if your Saber average is giving your Saber 2, where you want to get your Saber over is the extra +1 from defending with an attack action. But generally, sorry, I've lost my train of thought because Brett just wrote something interesting. But yeah, Saber doesn't match up very well against Sinks.
Yeah, what Brett did is it targets the weapon, not the attack. You are correct. Again, it's been a while since I've played
Yeah.
Warrior,
It's
so
probably might have been the reason that I left it out to begin with, because
yeah,
I did scan through all the cards.
yeah,
But yeah, sabers just don't match up well against sinks, fateful scenes, and flick flacks, to be honest. So you know,
yeah.
so that's one of the big things. But it's been good, and I mean, this is a conversation I was having with Chris. Is that I do want to play with this deck. Because yeah, I know obviously me and Ian are playing for something. You know, Ian's going to get, you know, as Chris likes to say, I'm going to get, you know, the double butt tattoo, um, you know, or across my forehead. But part of us is, you know, I want to be a better player, and I'm
Yeah.
going to make a lot of mistakes, but also the knowledge of, you know, of building decks. Like, I'll tell everyone a little story. Hopefully, Jason doesn't mind me mentioning this, but everybody probably acknowledges that, you know, if Jason Chung, who's on the development team, you know, wasn't working for us, he'd probably most likely be one of the best fab players in the world. But he works development, and even though Jason can't play these events, you know, even like when he's playing at the studio testing, the thing that Jason said to me is he always wants to be a better fab player. Like like, you know, I just assume Jason's the best. He's good. He doesn't need to learn anything. He's already learned it before. But Jason's mindset is that he can be better at this game. And I mean, he doesn't even get the opportunity to win big events, but like that's he's like, you know, he's not satisfied with his skill level. And I think that's like a really amazing thing to think about. Like if you like me thinking as a scrub, thinking knowing that this person, Jason's amazing. You know, what is it that he couldn't do in Fab? And but his preoccupation is, I want to be better at Fab. You know, there's always opportunity for him to grow. And yeah, I think a part of this is, yeah, all right, I'm going to take some losses, but you know, hopefully I can become a better Fab player, maybe even a better deck builder. And yeah, if you think you're the top and there's nowhere to go, think of somebody, think of Jason, and that he's, you know, how good he is, and he still doesn't think he's good enough. That's an amazing mindset. It's not something I expected, but yeah, if you don't have any respect for Jason, you should, very simply. Yeah, so that's my little story. I hope Jason probably won't listen to our podcast, but if
No,
anyone tells
no.
him, hopefully he doesn't mind. Yeah, so a lot of respect to Jason. But yeah, we should all be thinking, you know, how can we be better? I mean, I'm sure Matt, that's what goes through Matt's head, even after a 13-0 at nationals. You got to get
Yeah, well,
you got to
then
be
comes
better.
crashing down to a fourth and a sixth person hobby league.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. I
Yeah,
believe he's making sure he can get to Halloween Havoc. So yeah, so I
well,
hope.
yeah, it'd be great if he could. That'd be great.
Yeah, so
Well, I think
I hope everyone I hope that actually measures up to the concept of a deep dive. Yeah, because you know these segments we're going to alternate, and you know me and I mean we will stick with some decks. You know we will develop some decks, but you know because I mean yeah I hope you guys enjoy our deep dives into these decks, and you know they are deep enough, and we'll keep coming up with them.
and again, both me and Alan have never you know gone on record to say we're great deck builders, but
Yeah,
we do like anyone who's talked to me for more than 5 minutes knows that I like to try. Like I very much. I'm actually wearing a Versus shirt right now. I very
wow,
much uh, trying to come off the wall with some look at things slightly differently, and sometimes it means you can find something cool. Sometimes you just have to take your 1-3 weeks in hobby league for it because
yeah.
playing with a non optimal weapon. But yeah, so I mean that's what we're here about. We like to have fun. We like to try things out. But you know, it's what Fab's for. It's like
Yeah.
there's something for everything. Depending on if you're over competitive, if you like flavor, like me and Alan do. Yeah, that's cool.
I
All
must say
right,
that
so
I should shout out somebody has inspired me to build a deck. Shout out to Kashan from Wellington. He has inspired me to build a new Guardian deck. It's going to be an interesting Guardian deck because of the 40 cards in Blitz. 39 of them are going to be the same.
Oh God, it's not this.
So if anyone else can figure out what those 39 cards are and what the one card is,
I hope you're not. I was going to say, I hope you're not buying the one card off Channel Fireball because it costs you a lot more than it is.
Ian knows what this deck idea is. So 40 cards, 39 of them are the same. Guardian deck. I think I'll only break it out for UPF events, Ian. I only break it out for UPF. Actually, no, I just, and I don't. Right, you got to run Sledge. Got to run Sledge in that deck, Ian. You got to run the Sledge. All right, let's get to everyone's.
I was going to say, if you're running Sledge and that's your deck, I think to go back to an 80s TV show, I think you need to call the deck Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing. For anyone who remembers Sledgehammer, that was his catchphrase.
Oh, yeah. That's a beautiful show.
He didn't know what he was doing. So, Kurt's Corner, we have just had another pay-per-view on wrestling. We are, of course, naming our event after a wrestling event. So what have we got for Kurt's Corner? A nice quick one today.
All right, nice quick one. So as Ian said, the pay-per-view that just happened was Hell in a Cell. So for those of you who don't know, the Cell. Oh, yeah. Talasha Kenderdine. So the cell is basically a huge steel structure with what would you call that kind of metal security fencing? Kind of diamond.
It's diamond fencing that you see on most of the sort of temporary fencing.
Yeah, and it actually goes over the whole ring. So the height of it is at least good 20 feet, and it goes surrounded. So they lock them in. So you're locked in the cell in the ring with your opponent. It was a good pay-per-view, but as I proposed to Ian, what we should discuss today is it is a gimmick match. So what we mean by gimmick match is something where there's some other element.
Other than the
besides the normal, spice up the match. And sometimes gimmick matches are terrible. Sometimes they're amazing. So we thought we'd talk about maybe what our favorite gimmick matches, stipulations, gimmicks are in wrestling.
Alrighty. Well, I've got one that I'm going to end on that I'll come back to because again, it's one that is one that was invented here in New Zealand, and I was actually lucky enough to be the referee of the first ever iteration of it. So I'll talk about that at the end. But to go off the more WWE centric gimmick matches, my favorite growing up, my favorite pay-per-view every year. I mean, Rumble was a close second, and Rumble in itself is what you'd call a gimmick match. But my favorite pay-per-view was the classic either teams of 4, teams of 5, Survivor Series, last man standing match. So that's where it's like a tag team match, but instead of just 2 people in the team, you have 4 to 5 people, and you get eliminated one at a time. And so what it leads to is that there could be a situation where one team has 1 guy left and the other team still has 4 guys, and he has to battle it out against 4 guys, or you trade 1 for 1, and it's always been a really exciting match that brings out interesting rivalries. And back in the day, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, the tag teams and the singles wrestlers were a lot more defined, and so it was. Other than Survivor Series, you wouldn't really get to see your favorite tag team wrestlers actually go up against some of the bigger names on the card. So like actually seeing Axel Smash get into the ring and go one-on-one with like the Ultimate Warrior or the Macho Man or something like that was really cool. Or seeing Marty Jannetty step up to like a Jack Roberts
always coming back to Marty Jannetty. Always like a broken record. Give it up.
Yeah, I did really like the Survivor Series, and especially there was one year where they did like a Survivor Series where like all the survivors from all the matches came to an Ultimate Survivor Series match at the end of it, and that was really cool. So that would be in the WWE. That would probably be one of my favorite steps. How about you, Alan?
I think it's kind of hard. Like Hell in the Cell the Hell in the Cell is a big one because obviously the King of the Ring, Undertaker versus Mick Foley, where Mankind got thrown off cage is a big one. But I suppose this is just like I think this is my favorite. Well, it's mainly because of a match. It was an amazing match. I'm not sure which year it was. It was Starcade, maybe it was late 80s, Starcade 89 or something like that, maybe even earlier. But it was a dog collar match. So the dog collar is basically both opponents have a collar around their neck and they're connected by the chain. So depending on what federation, depends on how big the chain is. And this one, it was quite a long chain, and it was Roddy Piper versus Greg the Hammer Valentine, and it was an amazing match between the two. It was just brutal. There was because one thing about wrestling these days is and what people don't know is blood was showing color back in those days was so much more common. A lot of matches ended up showing color. When I say that phrase, I mean basically bleeding.
Yeah.
But this was full on brutal.
Yeah.
This is very brutal because one thing is like a chain is a weapon. You're pulling your opponent around, but yeah, Roddy Piper and Greg was great. Yeah. So it's a fantastic match. Otherwise, the other ones I'll mention is during the Russo era of WCW, it was everything on a pole match. Viagra on a pole match. Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Just awful. But I watched this and I actually sent you photos of it. When I was watching it, what was it called? The Electric Death Chamber match. This was a WCW pay-per-view match where they had Abdullah the Butcher, Mick Foley was in there, but he was Cactus Jack. And in the center of the ring was a cage which had an electric chair in it, and you had to strap. Because there was multiple people in this. I can't remember. Two big teams. You had to strap one of your opponents into it and then hit the lever to electrocute them. Yeah. And the very funny thing is at the beginning of the pay-per-view, the announcer set this up and then have to discuss around the fact that this match supposedly is going to kill somebody. It was, and of course, when the electric chair went off, I think Abdullah the Butcher was in it. There's all wacky fireworks and just like, we suspend belief like any show. You suspend, and part of loving wrestling is that you suspend disbelief. But when something like that happens, it just you've got to say, hold on, you pushed me too far. But I suppose in retrospect, it's hilarious watching it.
It's funny that you do bring that up because the final match that I'm going to talk about was invented by the very first IPW inducted Hall of Fame member, The Machine, and it is a match known as the Lights Out Death Match. This match is insane. So how this match works is that in the corner, in the four corners of the ring, there is a fluoro light tube that they're all hooked up, so they're all on. They cut the lights, so pretty much the whole match is illuminated by these four halogen lighting tubes, and the winner of the match is the last person to go through the last light tube. So once there's no light left in the arena, that's the winner of the match. And
I must admit that those fluoro tube matches, because I've seen. Obviously, I didn't see this match, but I've seen bits from like Japanese death matches and backyard wrestling. And I'm sorry, those tubes.
ECW.
Those tubes just freak me out because they are very sharp
and they explode.
And there's all that. They're not safe. No, they're certainly not safe.
They're not. And I remember this. I was in my job. My job was as the ref because. Of course, there's no ref needed in this match, but except to raise the winner's arm. But my actual job was because the final spot in the match was they actually set up, they set up instead of going one at a time, they actually set up three of them, and the machine got put through them, and it was my job. I was on the light switch from the power to actually turn the power off as he went crashing through, so he wouldn't actually get electrocuted. That was my job. So,
Yeah.
and I remember,
and nobody died. So nobody died. You did a perfect job.
And in classic wrestling tradition, the Machine was the inventor of the match. He was a crazy guy. There's only been 2 iterations of the match, so it was him versus Johnny King and him versus Del Knox a few years later. And in classic inventor of the match style, the Machine has never won a lights out death match. Much like how Mick Foley is known for his Hell in a Cell matches, he's never actually won a Hell in a Cell match. So so there you have it.
Yeah. No, well, big fan of Machine. I still have his IPW T-shirt,
nice.
Which was designed by Michael. In fact. So yeah, Mikhail. Nice.
So there we are. That is us, and we're just over the hour and 5. So I think that is a good time to wrap it up. So again, folks, remember 12 p.m. this Saturday. If you are in Auckland, or if you're in traveling distance to Auckland, come up for Halloween Havoc. It's going to be a good time. We are going to have a lot of fun, and there's going to be candy. There's going to be prizes. And so we'll see you there. Otherwise, we will give you the full rundown next week, and also remember that tomorrow on FabTCG.com, a big announcement coming. I was trying to get some information out of Alan, but he wouldn't spill the beans to me. So remember, check in on FabTCG.com tomorrow for a big announcement. Who knows what it's about, but they haven't disappointed with their big announcements over the last couple of times that they've announced it. They've all been pretty big. So
we need to come up with our own secret announcement.
Well, we had one, but you said we weren't allowed to bring it up on the podcast yet. So.
Oh yeah, true. We'll wait a little bit on that one. All right, folks.
So as always, wash your damn hands, and we'll see you next week.
Catch you later.